What began as a straightforward family outing, a joyous meal to celebrate Jack's 18th birthday, transformed into an entirely unexpected experience. As usual, my husband will immerse himself in his work while I busied myself with the dishes and baked pies, envisioning a day filled with laughter and warmth. I frequently pondered when the facade of our existence, which appeared to be thriving, had begun to fracture, reminiscent of aged furniture unraveling at its joints. Those who resided in close proximity and were familiar with our lives perceived us as an exemplary family, residing in a lovely home with impeccably behaved children, perpetually joyful and pristine. Yet, I alone was aware of the darkness that had infiltrated this seemingly secure and cozy existence. Will perpetually sought out new endeavors, rendering him a mere specter lost amidst the tumult of his professional existence, while I found myself gradually succumbing to a profound sense of solitude. The scorching sun caressed my skin that day at the beach, amplifying my sense of solitude and emptiness. Jack and I reveled in the joy of tossing a ball back and forth, our laughter mingling with the air as we reminisced about our amusing memories. For just a fleeting moment, I diverted my gaze, and as he applied sunscreen to my back, I sensed the gentle caress of his hand. What initially appeared to be a straightforward and compassionate gesture gradually unraveled into a web of complexity as the hours unfolded. My thoughts swirled with shattered aspirations, and it dawned on me that Jack was the sole individual who truly saw me still standing. His thoughtless yet gentle words and deeds enveloped me in a warmth I hadn't experienced in years, a feeling that had been stripped away by will long ago. In that instant, it dawned on me that Jack was stepping into the void my husband had created. My mind couldn't shake the implications of what this might signify for us. Yet, the family gathering I had meticulously orchestrated swiftly transformed into a somber occasion. As we lounged on the sand, our laughter danced through the air, while the sounds of others reveling slipped quietly into the distance. I sensed an internal retreat, as if a wave had swept away all remnants of joy. The oppressive quiet compelled me to confront a difficult reality. The flame I had once sought had dimmed, leaving only an echo of its former intensity. Will returned home, weary and disengaged. He offered no greeting, inquired not about my day, nor did he exhibit any concern for his son. The weight of his absence pressed upon me as I sat at the kitchen table. It had lost its gentleness, becoming overwhelming instead. I had settled into the fabric of his existence, a thread so commonplace that he could effortlessly overlook it. As I stood before the vacant desk, my thoughts drifted to faded, tarnished memories. I felt a deep frustration within myself for allowing circumstances to unfold as they did. I found myself struggling to recall the essence of the woman I once was, the one who held her family close with pride. I sensed I had become a mere echo of my former self, yearning to be acknowledged, to hold significance, to truly feel valued. As I observed Jack absorbing each word that evening, it dawned on me that he was the sole person capable of quickening my heartbeat. His vibrant, youthful gaze evoked memories of the hope and trust that once filled my heart. Yet, in an instant, the world transformed. A wave of surprise washed over me as his fingers brushed softly against my back. When his gaze locked with mine, it brimmed with a depth of sensitivity I had never experienced before. From a man, I found myself at a loss for words. In that instant, everything transformed. Every emotion, the solitude, and the reluctance to maintain this facade. Everything emerged into the light. A silent storm swept through me, unearthing truths I had long concealed. It seemed as though I had turned against my own essence when the blow came. It felt as though I had collided with my own essence. As I stood once more upon the shore, encircled by the throng of humanity, a profound realization washed over me. I had constructed my own prison and now sought the courage to break free. My emotions were unraveling, fragmenting my very being. Though it lacked the essence of love, the connection blossoming between us was almost too intense to bear. Jack's expression shifted from amusement to bewilderment as our eyes met, and I sensed we were teetering on the brink of something monumental. I was on the verge of uncovering a revelation that would grant me no further inquiries, only an undeniable truth that would linger persistently. How can one truly love a soul that was never theirs to hold? Our loneliness and hope were intertwined, yet they resided on separate shores. The barrier that separated us seemed on the verge of crumbling, just as a tide of fear and doubt threatened to engulf me. And with every fleeting moment, I came to understand that it was not love. A melancholic, unyielding awareness of time slipping away, laden with losses that clung to me relentlessly. On a desolate stretch of shoreline, I found myself caught in a tumultuous clash of love and fury. Will embodied the shadows of my past, whereas Jack represented my beacon of hope. They never truly belonged to me, so how could I possibly move on? Summer days once evoked a sense of tranquility, yet this time, their radiance seemed to whisper a different message. The sea beckoned to us from the window, its shimmering surface glistening under the sun's warm embrace. Yet, the weight of Will's perpetual absence cast a shadow over my heart, dimming any flicker of joy that dared to surface. He consistently prioritized his work over us, and each instance pierced my heart like a knife. I swiftly dismissed the thought and departed with Jack, the sole companion still willing to partake in these fleeting moments with me. As we journeyed toward the beach, I found myself reflecting on how much Jack had matured. He appeared to be adrift in his own realm, seated in the passenger seat, headphones enveloping his ears, gazing out the window. The knowledge washed over me like a powerful tide. He could vanish forever in the blink of an eye. It was a blend of fear and an unexpected sense of liberation to experience these emotions. As these reflections lingered, I recalled the moments when he was but a child, his tiny hand resting in mine. The sound of his laughter resonated throughout the room. Upon our arrival, a profound sense of relief washed over us, as if we had collectively exhaled a long-held breath. Jack assisted me in carrying the bags to a serene location by the water, which lifted my spirits. I laid the towels on the sun-kissed sand as he arranged the umbrella, evoking memories of his childhood innocence. As I observed his transformation, a desire to engage him in conversation stirred within me, yearning to uncover the thoughts and feelings swirling within him. I remained silent, offering no words at all. I reclined on the towel, allowing the sun to envelop me as if I were an old pillow, worn and content. As I attempted to find my composure, thoughts of the suntan oil drifted through my mind. When I requested Jack's assistance, I noticed a moment of hesitation flicker across his face. It seemed as though he yearned to escape the circumstances surrounding him. A tightness gripped my chest as he finally gave his consent. It took me by surprise when he reached out with hands that had shed their childhood softness. They exhibited a gentle and cautious demeanor. This seemingly ordinary moment struck me with an intensity one couldn't comprehend, causing my body to tremble in a manner I had never experienced before. Jack meticulously applied the oil, his hands gliding with a contemplative grace, as if pondering his next move. His touch resonated with a rhythmic pulse, and I surrendered to the darkness behind my eyelids. A sensation washed over me, one I hadn't experienced in what felt like an eternity. The sensation of his hands transported me back to that moment when I first cradled him, a fragile infant in my arms. The recollection stood in stark contrast to the sensations coursing through me now, yet his touch quickly gained confidence, descending further. A tempest seemed to materialize from the ether, catching me unawares. I attempted to utter a word, a plea for him to cease, yet silence enveloped me. Even as I sought solace in the quiet, I reassured myself that it was merely a gesture of kindness. Yet, it felt as though the very fabric of reality shifted with each passing moment. His hands lingered near the edge of the towel, a subtle hesitation evident in his demeanor as uncertainty clouded his thoughts. I could have intervened at any moment, yet I leaned in and whispered to him that all was well. Those words lingered in the atmosphere, a verdict that seemed immutable. In that moment, an increased stillness enveloped us. I sensed myself descending further into my own depths, with his touch being the sole remnant of connection. As his fingers descended, resistance slipped away from me. The tumult of emotions surged within me, overwhelming and inexplicable. As my inner objections faded into the background, the weight of my emotions was overwhelming, leaving me in a state of both solitude and exhilaration simultaneously. Despite my confusion, a sense of joy blossomed within me. Perhaps it was due to the fact that I had clung to a yearning for an eternity. As I stood on the shore, my life shattered and devoid of meaning, Jack emerged as a singular beacon of hope that I could no longer overlook. A torrent of emotions surged within me, demanding my attention. He was more than just a person of concern to me. In a shadowy realm, he was the sole spark that ignited my sense of existence. As our gazes met, I perceived that every flicker in her eyes mirrored my own. It felt as though destiny had presented me with an opportunity that I simply could not let slip away. In releasing the burdens of what once was and what might be, I found myself surrendering to the comforting embrace of the present. Words eluded me, and all that escaped my lips was a mere whisper. Feel free to continue. Their resonance was undeniable, emerging from the intensity of the moment. He ventured forth. On. With every intentional gesture of his hands, I experienced something beyond mere physical sensations. I shut my eyes, allowing his touch to weave a tapestry of enchantment around me. It was a realm I was reluctant to abandon. It seemed as though he was uncovering the essence of my being, a profound sense of wonder and authenticity. It was evident to us both that this was no ordinary moment. It was an innovative approach to forge connections, a resonating symphony of emotions that remained unnamed. In that instant, I understood that his hands were engaged in something far beyond mere contact. They flowed like an indescribable sensation, intertwining joy, buoyancy, and a hint of madness. A powerful longing surged within me, pulling at my very core. My lips were sealed in a firm embrace. That longing crystallized in the moment when my thoughts faded away, leaving only the rhythm of our shared breaths to pierce the stillness. I blinked awake and gazed up at him. In that fleeting moment, all else faded into insignificance. We found ourselves on this infinite stretch of sand, isolated from the rest of the world. In this instance, the regulations and the realm held no significance. In that fleeting instant, I sensed an entire universe of potential contained within. Each moment brimmed with those exquisite emotions that are frequently obscured by the monotony of everyday existence. I longed to freeze the moment, to keep the barrier that separated us from shifting, ensuring that our souls and hearts remained eternally intertwined. This beach picnic was our hidden sanctuary. The silence held its own significance, and words were unnecessary between us. For a fleeting moment, my anxieties and apprehensions dissipated, leaving behind a fragile bond that connected us. We navigated an infinite expanse of feelings, akin to two vessels searching for refuge from a tempest. This illustrates how emotions can occasionally transcend the limits of language. In the stillness of our shared existence, the boundaries of our roles began to dissolve, transforming us from mere mother and son into something deeper. We were akin to flowers, striving to stretch toward the light, blissfully unaware that one day it might shine too brightly. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting elongated shadows across the beach, I remained blissfully unaware of how swiftly time was slipping away. Inhaling the crisp essence of the ocean breeze, I succumbed to a tranquil stillness. It resembled a restoration, a respite from the monotonous, threadbare existence that had settled in. Yet, the moment had arrived to return home, and with it emerged a haunting dread that enveloped me, persistent and unyielding like a chill that refused to dissipate. As Jack and I settled into the car, an undeniable sense washed over me, as if fate had already set its course. As we navigated the streets, my mind wandered, attempting to distance itself from the relentless anguish that felt as though it was consuming my very essence. With every rotation of the wheels, the delicate facade I had constructed began to diminish, as though an ominous presence lurked, anticipating our return home. Upon my arrival, I found myself enveloped once more in my confined existence, encircled by the indifference that Will had fostered through his perpetual absence. He spoke aloud as he worked, oblivious to the presence of anyone else in the house. He appeared to be ensnared in his own private universe. The sound of his footsteps echoed softly in the kitchen as he prepared dinner, yet it was evident that his mind was elsewhere, lost in thought. Each time he averted his gaze, the fury simmering within me grew more difficult to contain. "Will, are you feeling hungry once more?" In an effort to maintain a semblance of normalcy, I inquired. His smile was insincere and fleeting. A subtle nod accompanied his continued search through the cabinets, as he sought something to occupy his evening. As I reclined in bed that night, my thoughts were consumed by Jack. His eyes, his hands, and his unwavering focus blurred the boundaries of what once felt ordinary. I endeavored to banish those thoughts, yet they persisted, returning time and again. I realized I needed to pause and compel myself into silence, yet a shadowy aspect of my being resisted that urge. It lacked the connection and care I once received from Will. As the days passed, Jack grew increasingly silent. His demeanor, unspoken yet profound, conveyed more than any words he might have uttered. Whether I was cooking or lounging in the living room, his gaze remained keen and unwavering, fixed intently upon me. One night, as I sat engrossed in the flickering images on the screen, I felt his gaze fixed upon me, unwavering and intense. I didn't turn it away. Rather, I allowed it to unfold, resulting in an unspoken connection between us. An unspoken connection, profound and resonant, yet beyond the reach of language. The house was filled with an abundance of warmth over the weekend. We departed once more, leaving only Jack and me behind. The urge to return to the beach, our beach, surged within me, its origins a mystery, yet its intensity undeniable. Perhaps I was seeking an escape from the confines of the stuffy house, or maybe I clung to the hope that the fresh air would bring clarity to my thoughts. The tension was palpable as we navigated the road ahead. Jack sat quietly, headphones enveloping his ears, as he gazed out the window. A sensation gripped me from within, compelling me to confront the reality of what was unfolding between us. The morning unfolded with a serene tranquility, enveloping the world in a gentle embrace. While I prepared breakfast in the kitchen, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee intertwined with the scent of warm, toasted bread. A smile crept onto my face as I recalled the countless times Will had cast a fleeting glance my way before dashing out the door. The rhythmic cadence of our existence was reflected in the way our mornings had transformed into a ticking clock. Today, however, he approached me and pressed his lips gently against my cheek. For a fleeting instant, his presence enveloped me like the gentle embrace of early spring sunlight. Yet soon enough, he was departing, retreating to his mundane, work-focused existence. I heard his footsteps on the stairs, followed by the sound of the door slamming shut, leaving me solitary in the sunlit, tranquil house. As always, Jack entered the kitchen with an almost silent grace, reminiscent of a specter in the soft glow of dawn. He stood by the window, utterly still, gazing outside with an air of quiet contemplation that was truly captivating. I gazed at him and noticed his eyes were locked onto mine, reminiscent of that moment on the beach when he appeared to be lost in a world devoid of any distractions. It was evident to us both that this bond had evolved beyond the confines of a typical mother-son connection. The heat enveloped me, and I sensed his breath lingering just behind me. It served as a tender reminder of how affection and comfort could envelop all. The intensity of the moment left me breathless, and I attempted to intervene with a soft word. Yet, before I could utter another syllable, he drew nearer, igniting a blend of fear and exhilaration within me. "I must take my leave," I began, yet he interrupted me. When his lips met mine, a whirlwind of emotions surged within me. In that moment when our lips met, the world around us shattered into chaos. I was aware of its wrongness. Overwhelmed by a whirlwind of love and anxiety, I lost sight of the boundaries between right and wrong. I was acutely aware of its potential to obliterate all that existed. With every kiss, a spark ignited within me, reviving sensations I had long thought lost. I shattered every convention and ventured into the abyss during those fleeting instants. The day stretched endlessly, yet I felt as though I were caught in a tempest. Jack and I ventured beyond a boundary that was never intended to be breached. I understood then that this was not a fleeting error, but rather a burdensome weight that would only grow more oppressive with the passage of time. I realized I stood at the precipice of my own existence, unable to escape the weight of the shame that bore down upon me. His gaze held me captive, and the subtle gestures of affection stirred within me a profound sense of longing and desire. Yet, it seemed we were teetering on the brink of an abyss. It was at that moment I understood that a significant transformation had occurred within me. We found ourselves entangled in an act that defied the established norms, yet it resonated with a sense of significance. As his hands made contact with my skin, the sensation shattered the walls I had built around my heart, allowing the emotions I had long suppressed to finally surface. I found myself questioning whether I had erred in some way, for I was